BPM is the new album from Sudan Archives, which pulls a lot of inspiration from various subgenres of dance music, different eras of dance music, especially a lot of 90s house influence. And if nothing else, on this album, she really proves that she is not putting out the same album twice, because given the positive reception to her previous album, she easily could have put out something else in that vein, but she decided to go a completely different direction and kind of sidestep a lot of the comparisons she likely would have gotten, which I think was a genius move, because I myself was a little bit concerned going into this album about how it would compare to her previous one. But I'm happy to say not only is it a great record, it's also a very different record, and I don't think there's much cause for comparison between the two. But she brings a pretty fresh perspective to a lot of this dance music given her classical background. None of the songs on here sound classical by any means. It is by all means a dance album. However, she sort of brings a classical writing approach in that dance music and classical music tend to be at odds with their approach to songwriting, given that they have different goals. Dance music tends to be more loop-based and repetitive because it's just providing you something to dance to for a long time, which is a great thing. Whereas classical music is usually more concerned with developing an idea, whether that's a melody or a chord progression or some sort of counterpoint or something, whatever it is. But she does a great job of synthesizing these two things, especially on the opening track, Dead, which starts off with some nice string swells and then adds in some synth and then her vocals and then the bass drum and then some manipulated vocals and then even more synths, and really just kind of takes her time layering and building up these things until we get to the full realization of the groove. But even from there, we don't really get anything that repeats just completely straight out, because when she does repeat a melody or a chord progression or something like that, she's either adding something to it, removing something, or changing something about it, whether it's the production or the instrumentation or something about it is changing. It's really until the last leg of this song where we get something that just fully repeats. But that approach to layering these songs and keeping them fresh really carries through most of the songs on here, not only within themselves in terms of their structures, but also through the track list, because a lot of these songs take influence from a unique subgenre or era of dance music to combine together, until we get to about the middle of the album where we get sort of the mid-album switch up with She's Got Pain, which starts off fine enough, but then we get this kind of jaunty Irish violin part, which I don't think works very well, and as a result, I think this is the weakest song on the album. And I really feel like it could have been cut completely, because the following track, David and Goliath, still fulfills that mid-album switch up, but it is a far better song. And from here, we get a few more fun, catchy dance tracks, including Miss Pac-Man, which is probably the raunchiest song on the album, because the chorus just starts with her yelling, "Put it in my mouth!" which is bold and hilarious, and I can't get enough of it. And then we get to what is kind of a double closer for this album, because the penultimate track, Noir, feels like the proper closer to the album. It's the longest song, living up to its title. It's the darkest song, both with its music, because we get a few kind of horror movie-esque piano keys here and there that are very dissonant, but also lyrically, because we get a very personal and intimate detailing of this man who's putting his hands around her waist and assuring her that it isn't a threat, but she's kind of into the aggression because she feels comfortable around him. It makes for a little bit of a dark and intense listen, which is followed up by the proper ender, Heaven Knows, which I'm a little bit torn on, because it does act more like an epilogue than anything, and I like that thematically it is sort of the morning after to the rest of the album's Night Out at the Club, but at the same time I don't feel like it's one of the stronger songs on the album, so it's a little bit of a weak one to go out on in my opinion. But overall, I thought it was a pretty solid album. I'm thinking a B+ for this one. Let me know what you thought of the album in the comments, leave a like, subscribe so we can start sharing some music, and I hope to hear from you soon.